This is Adisyn. We're at my studio in Miami Beach. I am going to open up my track 3 a.m. I'm going to open the Ableton project and show you how I made everything. Also, just wanted to say huge thanks to anyone who supported the record. 3 a.m. reached number 9 in the Progressive House Top 10. Nuit Sonorous reached number 8 in Organic House Top 10. So the EP did really well. So anyways, let's dive in. So the kick is something I ripped off a record I liked. There was originally this like weird click at the end of it. Yeah, you can hear it there. So what I did is I actually automated this low pass here right in the clip. So the beginning I keep sample the way it was, and then I just draw like a quick line there to remove any artifacts that were at the end of the sample. The tops is just a clap and a hat being sent to a reverb chamber to give like a sense of space. These are some percussion hits that I programmed with the drum rack. Another top loop. And I kind of left it unwarped like that to give it like, I think it gave it like a certain like sloppy groove that I liked. So that was intentional. Just want to point that out. This is like some techno perk thing. You kind of need headphones to hear this, but without the EQ, it's just some like really aggressive top loop, but there was some lower mid frequencies in it that I liked. So I banded it, and then you get this like cool, weird techno perk. I'm doing some bussing. I have some parallel compressions, so like I'm, fast attack, fast release, and I'm slamming the drums like all together by like 10 dBs, and then the dry and wet's like 44%, and then some EQs just to shape the sound a bit more. So let me dive into the synth parts. So I made this with Ableton's analog. It's basically two detuned saw waves being run into a filter with a percussive filter envelope, some envelope amounts. The amp envelope is similar, kind of a percussive envelope. There's vibrato, and then there's an LFO being sent to the filter frequency. So that way, every time the note is hit, the filter actually moves up or down a bit. And I think that's really good for those dubby sounds, because you want the modulation to give the sound sort of movement character. I'm using a chord effect. I'm actually just hitting one note here, as you see, but the chord effect is then duplicating the note and adding additional voicing. Then I'm high passing, running it through a filter delay, reverb, and then an Echo Boy by Soundtoys. This is actually a preset in the Juno 106. It's just a cool like ARP sound. I actually use it quite a bit. I think the real magic is that I'm not playing in a natural minor scale. I'm playing in some Dorian mode, which is what kind of gives the song that like surreal, spacey vibe. And I love this buzz sound. It's essentially a really processed saw wave. So we get like a saw pluck, we distort it. We put a big reverb, a high pass filter, and a huge echo, and we do some compression, and then we get this. So sustain pad and some chords. And now let me dive into some other fun stuff. So here is the acid line in the track. So I programmed this in Roland's TB-303. I think the Roland Cloud stuff sounds super, super awesome. I'm not so great at programming 303s traditionally, so I actually opened the edit window and I programmed them in the little keyboard window here. I'm using some of inboard distortion right here in the panel, so you can add drive. And I just came up with a pattern that fitted with the scale I was using, and I have an EQ, some additional saturation, and a sidechain. What's really neat too is I'm using a lot of automation. It makes the sound a lot cooler, and you can hear that throughout the track. I'm basically sending the acid to different reverbs and echo times. For the sub bass, I'm using Serum. It's just this one wavetable called sub bass, which is in the digital wavetables. And essentially, you have a knob here that controls the wavetable position. All the way to the right is pure sine, essentially. Then as you dial it to the right, it adds harmonics. So you can just dial that into taste. And then I have a group here for effects. And these are a bunch of one-shots that I've chopped up or created. This one's particularly cool. I think it was like a vocal sounds. Put it in reverb. And then LFO tool to give it this like cool modulation stuff. That happens on the drop, and it's basically some atmosphere sounds that was then run through a delay. But in context, it sounds really cool. One last thing is, like, I think it's really important to keep your stuff really organized. I do all my drums like a solid color, all my synths a solid color, maybe the bass and maybe some other key element another color. I think organization is really, really key. I use Ozone often for mastering, especially for demo purposes like this, like rough masters on the go. Master Assistant is awesome. Just play your track, click Master Assistant, and it'll give you a rough estimate of what your track is missing and what it could use. I hope you guys learned something from this, and thanks again to anyone who supported the record. If you want to hear some more tutorials by me, check out my YouTube channel, Adisyn Music. I have a few other production tutorials where I open my projects and I dive through them and show you how I made everything, and happy music making.